Hi, we're at the Ingenico PayTech event in Lisbon, and I'm joined by Michel Leger from Ingenico. Hi, nice to meet you. How are you doing?
Good, and you?
Good. How's the event going so far?
The event is just fantastic. We're really, thrilled about it. And as you know, because of the COVID period, we didn't get a chance to physically meet with a lot of people, and they're so happy to get together. I can feel, the energy that this kind of event is creating around the people. So really thrilled about it. Everybody's really happy to see each other, to share ideas, things, and create this stimulation that really is for carrying us moving forward. So really excited about it.
Lovely. And I think one of the topics that I've heard is around the invisibility of payments and tap-to-phone payments. What are your thoughts on this trend?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. And invisibility in payment has always been a question, how far do we want to go there? I can tell you that in our lab, we created, fully invisible experiences, up to a point where when we tried that on the field, the consumers themselves say, oh, no, it's going too far. I still want to control when I pay, right? It's like the Uber experience, as you know, at the beginning, many people were very reluctant, on doing that because they were like, what did I pay? When? They want to have control. Payment is something extremely emotional, right? It's touching your deep inside, right? So from a technology standpoint, we can already do it. We've done it. Now it's really a matter of adoption. And a matter of knowing, what do you want to do actually? How far do we want to go? And it's always a question of adoption, always a question of the end users, where they want to go. First, that's on invisible payment. Tap to phone is not a matter of being invisible, because the experience at the end from a consumer standpoint is still the same. It's a device that you're using to make the transaction, whether it's a traditional POS or your smartphone or your tablet. So it's not completely related to invisibility, right? Now on tap to phone, I think it's a wonderful opportunity for us, for all of us. What we're trying to do in our business is to expand as much as possible our ecosystem of electronic payment, right? Everybody's trying to do that. If you look at it, cash is still the number one mean of payment. And this is our competition, All the rest are solutions to expand, solutions to compete with cash, right? And this is another one. And why this one is interesting? Because it can really open up to a lot of new use cases. Looking at the threat on POS, we love the idea of disruption, right? But the main question when you bring new technology to market is, why do you do it? What are you going to do with it? What else do you do with it? It's not, if you're just coming with technology to do the exact same thing that the other ones, okay, you disrupt, it's pleasant, but at the end, what did you do? Nothing. What additional value do you create? So with tap to phone, it's quite interesting to look at what new we can do with it, right? Not to completely oppose things together. Because again, when you come with a new technology, the question is not just, are you just doing exactly the same thing that what you are displacing? Because if you just do that, you have not done much, right? The question is, what else can you do with it? What additional value can you create? What new use cases can you address? And this is the topic of tap to phone, Expanding our ecosystem of electronic payment is going to different form of merchant, right? Smaller merchants that probably have no business case to buy a standard terminal, but because they are doing just 2 transactions or 3 transactions per week or per month, we say, hey, my phone is fair enough, right? And to use it for payment. As an example, it can be a multiple use cases where you leverage an existing tablet, an existing smartphone, and going to smaller and smaller merchants to a point where you can think about what we call prosumers, which are actually consumers that can become merchant at some point of time. Like you have a garage sale, right? You are not going to buy a terminal for your garage sale. Still, if you can accept electronic payment, you're probably going to sell more, as an example. Or direct sales, people coming to your home to sell like Tupperware, like whatever. If they can accept electronic payment, they will sell more. Are they going to buy a terminal? Probably not, right? It's not going to be convenient for them. But this one we cannot address very well today with our technology. Whilst this tap-to-phone technology will help us to address these new prosumers, up to maybe person-to-person kind of payment. So basically, I look at it as a very good opportunity for us to expand our ecosystem of electronic payment. I never oppose things together. Just opposing, again, is not creating value. So I really enjoy and welcome all the new technology that help us to bring more value on the payment, on our ecosystem, and create new use cases. We are investing a lot in tap-to-phone. We already have certified solution for all the standard that does exist today. We have proof of concept for the standard that will come in 1 year. So, I'm sitting at the board of PCI, so I'm well aware of what is prepared for the future standard. So we're preparing that with our lab. And we really have, real life experience for new technology using our labs and some partners to try that out. So we'll be fully prepared, and already prepared to scale.
Lovely, thank you. And I think with all of these elements, it's about striking the right balance. So in summary, would you say that tap-to-phone will replace payment terminals?
No. It will complement. As I mentioned, it's adding value for new use cases. So there's always, the line are already a bit blurred, and there will always be some cannibalization, and that's fine. We don't care because we have the full portfolio of solution. We're always going to be in a position to bring the right solution for the right use case. But are you going to put tap-to-phone on a multi-lane environment? Like these big shops where you are on multi-lane. Are you going to put a smartphone, 1,000 euro smartphone in lane for that? Probably not, right? You're going to put a traditional terminal. While, in other use cases that I mentioned, tap-to-phone will make sense. So we don't want to oppose anything. We just want to have the right solution for any use case.
Lovely. And you spoke a little bit about your role as part of the innovation lab. When you're coming up with these new ideas, how do you ensure that the bad habits that have sort of infiltrated legacy payments don't sort of seep into the new ideas?
It's a very good question. Organizations tend to reproduce what they have done a lot, and it's a very good question. The way we deal with it, it's first, our innovation lab is fully independent. So that's the rule number one. If you include, your lab in your existing teams, same recipe, same ingredients, same cake, right? so you want to make sure that they are not into it. They're working with them, and that's fine, but they are fully independent. You create a separate organization for that. Then you create a safe framework for them to innovate. Innovating is failing. I like to say that because it's about changing, trying, failing, trying again and again and again, and finding your ways. And so you need to create a safe environment for them to fail, which is not the case of our traditional environment. When you're a traditional environment, you need to deliver. You cannot fail, right? Here, it's okay. You can fail. Try something, but try it fast. Fail fast, and then try something else and learn from it. Third, you don't want to be closed. You need to work in open environment. You need to feed, yourself with, startup, fintech, customers, internal organization. You want to be 360, taking ideas from everywhere. Other industry, connect to another lab. They have maybe similar problem than you. Identity business is very close to payment. Right? Talk to this guy. Maybe they found something else, and then cross-feed each other. That's really how you make it happen, right? Really, a safe environment. Really dare to try, feeding yourself with a lot of different people from different horizons, and that's how you make it happen. And maybe the last point that's quite important to me is never focus on technology. First, understand what you want to do with it. So first, understand the pain, the use case, the experience. Create first the idea of the experience before you look at what is the best technology to answer that, right? If you put the technology first, you will reproduce, You will be like having a solutions looking for a problem to solve. No. Focus first to understand what is the problem you want to solve. And from that, if you are, if you're quite open, you look at what are the best technology that can be used, to answer.
So you've touched on 4 major points there: failing fast, collaboration, not starting with the technology, and starting with the problem in itself. So if we were to combine all of these elements, what would you say what do you expect the future of payments to be in the next 5 to 10 years?
So for that, I need my crystal ball, right? So I think I've got one there, right? And I can look through it and find a solution. Always extremely difficult to predict exactly what the future is going to be. But you can bet on some trends. But more importantly, you can always keep the basic of our industry that will always be there. Because, as I mentioned, whatever you do, at the end, the question is a question of adoption. It's what the consumer, the merchants, the people that will use your solution will accept to use, will accept to change, and will welcome on what the problem that you are solving and everything. So there are really some principles in our industry that will stay there forever. And the number one is trust. There's no payment without trust. Payment is an exchange between two persons, and more likely now, and two bodies that don't know each other, right? So how do I trust that I can give you my money for an exchange of something like in the virtual world I cannot touch, right? So this trust is extremely important, and that's why it's a question of branding, something that that third party like Visa, MasterCard, whatever. Okay, there's a Visa between us, I may trust them, right? And why? Because they've been there for a long time, on ensuring security. Security, we don't want to talk about it now because it's obvious, but it's still there, and it's still going to be extremely critical in the future. The more we use open environment, the more, we talk about soft POS, right? The more we move from a very close, secure environment to a very open environment, more the question of trust and security will be. And today it's okay because it's not deployed at scale. But when you've got soft POS everywhere, then if you've got an attack somewhere, suddenly it can scale everywhere. You need to get answer to that. You need technology that ensure you that you'll keep this security. I think the trust, the security is still going to be number one. So all the technology around software security will be really at the core of it, and this is why we're investing so much, in this technology. I think if you look at it, beside trust, you will get the problem of addressing all the new digital use cases. I think the future will be extremely digital. And being digital is an interesting question, right? If you look at all the means of payment that we're using today, they were not born digital. So we made it digital, tricking the technology a bit, and that's what the limit of this technology are. If I take a comparison, it's not because you scan a document that you have a digital document. Yeah, you have a digital form of document, but what can you do with it in a digital space if you don't have the content that you can manipulate? It's the same comparison. For me, the future will be, based on digital mean of payment, meaning programmable. Because in a digital world, what you want is the machines to do most of the work, and you do like kind of nothing, right? So for that, you need a payment means that will be completely digital, that you can program, so the machines can do everything for you in a very safe and trusted environment. So that's an important, for me, change also in the future. Future will be real time. And real time is a big question, is a big challenge for all of us, because with new generation being more and more digital, there is a sense of immediacy. Everything needs to be on the click, right? So we'll need to move money on the click with digital currencies that can, move a little bit everywhere quite fast. So it's creating, also a real-time fraud. that we have to deal with it. Which is also quite a challenge if you think about it. I mean, that's where technology to create the trust and the scalability that we need. I didn't mention that still, in the scalability of everything we do is that it's really at stake for the future as well. You need things that can be used everywhere. I would add that I would see diversity. Diversity is everywhere, even in payment. If you look at the history of payment, we've been adding more and more means of payment. We never ever, in the history of payment, we never ever killed one payment mean. We're still using cash, check, truck, whatever. I mean, you can name them. We keep adding more and more on the wallets and everything. And now all the cryptocurrencies, it will, keep adding more, more and more, the payment means that will be used, for different use cases in different domains, wherever you want to transact. So that will add a lot more complexity as well. So the future will be also in the way you can aggregate, orchestrate all these payment means, because there are going to be more and more. So for consumer or merchants, accepting all these payment means, dealing with all these payment means in all different domains is complex, and there will be a need to orchestrate that in a very, very easy way. And the last point I will mention is to be prepared for the quantum technology. We need to start thinking about that, and we are investing into it to create the security in this environment, because when quantum computing will be ready at some point of time, you will reach a point of singularity, right, where everything you knew in the past will be over, because the rules will completely change. So you need to prepare for that. So working on quantum, cryptography and things like that is things that we are doing as well to be prepared for the future.
Lovely. Your crystal ball is very good.
I don't know. I just throw the principles.
Yeah.
So, with that you can do a lot of things, right? But
exactly.
Basically the future is to be prepared for anything.
Yes.
I always say, be prepared for the worst and, aim for the best and enjoy what you get. But be prepared for everything.
Yeah, and you mentioned digital currencies. So I'm just wondering what your thoughts are out of interest. Do you see a future in cryptocurrencies and the metaverse?
Yes, of course. Of course, and not only in the metaverse, but of course in the metaverse. That's one of these new domain where you will transact, and you're not going to bring a payment terminal in the metaverse, right? So we are actually in the lab, already working with a lot of universities, think tank, and a lot of different environments to ask them how do they see, payment in the metaverse, trying to feed ourselves with new ideas on their crypto is going to be one, of course. And why? Because it's one of the digital native payment mean, right? Probably, the first one, actually, if you think about it. The first digital native payment mean is a crypto. Bitcoin has been the first one, and now you got, tons of cryptocurrency, and you get more, and that's fine. It's all related on blockchains, authentication and so forth. So yes, of course, a digital native currency or payment mean will be used in the metaverse one way or another, because it's fully digital, it can be programmable, it can be extremely convenient, and I think it's ticking some of the boxes that are, in our principle, about trust, scalability, still, it needs to normalize a bit to scale. There's too much volatility to be used everywhere. So, and it's coming. There are a lot of initiatives with cryptocurrency being backed up by, central banks, or issued by central banks, basically, that will create even more trust, more stability, so it can be more scalable. But yeah, sure. Crypto will play a role, but it's also playing a role in other domain, even in the physical world. If you look at it's used in some country because of the high inflation that we're going through. So the volatility sometimes is good for them because it's less volatile than their fiat. Currency. So yes, sure. We do believe that cryptocurrency will play a big role.
Lovely. And will you be talking about these topics at your event in Miami on the 8th and 9th of June?
Yes. All of these topics we'll address one way or another, of course, because they're at the core of everything we do. or everything we prepare, you know, to do in a very near future. So yes, of course, and we need to share that with our partners and our customers because we need them to bring that to market, you know. So it's very important that we share all of this information. Yes.
Lovely. Thank you so much for the very interesting chat today. Have fun in Miami.
Sure, and thanks a lot for the question. Really appreciate the conversation.